Welcome to Eggs and Issues, a monthly business forum presented by the Portland Community Chamber of Commerce, bringing timely economic discussion to the region for nearly 40 years. Thank you to our sponsors and partners. Presenting sponsors, Martins Point Healthcare, Bernstein Scher, and Central Maine Power. Cooperating sponsors, Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare and Bank of America. Reception sponsors, Clark Insurance, Key Bank, and Pretty Flaherty. Community Corner sponsor, Goral Palmer. Tomorrow's leaders and entrepreneur sponsors, AAA Northern New England and ProSearch. Coffee sponsor, Skowhegan Savings. Parking sponsor, Vitalius Real Estate Group. Media partners, radio sponsor, WGAN. Print sponsor, Maine Trust for Local News. TV sponsor, WMTW Maine CW. Business news sponsor, Maine Biz. Venue partner, University of Southern Maine. And thank you to our special community partners, Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield, Kennebec Savings Bank, MEMIC, Spectrum Healthcare Partners, Southern Maine Community College, and the University of Southern Maine. And now, please welcome Portland Community Chamber President, Mary Costigan.
Wow, that's kind of nice. Good morning, everybody. Before I start, if this is your phone, you left it up there, you were in the middle of paying for your parking, and you can come get it from me later. It's white. Okay, so good morning. Welcome to Eggs and Issues. My name is Mary Costigan. I'm a shareholder at Bernstein Scher, and I'm honored to serve as the president of the Portland Community Chamber of Commerce. Today's topic, UMaine's impact on the Portland region, invites UMaine President Dr. Joan Ferrini Mundy to the stage to share how the university has evolved, how the university system keeps up with the ever-changing and evolving area of STEM, law, and athletics to produce an effective and well-educated workforce with passion for the state we call home. Before we move on to today's programming, I do want to tell you about a great inaugural event that's happening on April 24th, so please mark your calendars. It's the Chamber's new We Rock Awards event, where we're going to be recognizing 3 outstanding women to highlight leading female professionals in a profound way to inspire current and future female professionals to continue the great work they do at their organizations and in the greater Portland region as a whole. Later today, we're going to announce our 3 award winners. Please join us on Wednesday, April 24th from 4 to 6:30 at the Canopy by Hilton Downtown Waterfront. To learn more about this event, our incredible award winners, and to register, please visit portlandregion.com. It's going to be a great event, so if you could all be there, it'd be awesome. And tell all your friends. Before I invite our presenter to the stage, I want to again thank all of our sponsors of Eggs and Issues who make this event possible for the entire season. Without their investment, we simply would not be here. A very sincere thank you to our special community partners. These organizations support all of our events throughout the year in addition to Eggs and Issues. Now, today's community corner is the YMCA of Southern Maine. You probably saw them out there in the lobby while you were having your breakfast. The YMCA of Southern Maine has met our community's needs since 1853. While everyone recognizes the Y, many don't realize its scope. It's more than you know. The Y is known as a place for people to come for summer camp, workouts, swimming, and swim lessons. These are important benefits for our community's well-being, but the Y does so much more. They are here to strengthen our community. The Y always steps up, partnering with other organizations to respond to the community's needs. The Y is focusing their partnership efforts to address the critical needs of housing, new Americans, and food insecurity. The Y is working to reduce the number of unhoused people in Portland, providing 88 safe, secure dormitory-style rooms for men with no other place to stay. New Americans just arriving, men getting off the streets or leaving the shelter, and men leaving the hospital and needing a safe place to continue their recovery. The Y also runs a 32-unit low-income efficiency apartment building. The Y is a dedicated community partner ready to respond to the community needs. To do this, they need your support. There are many ways to get involved with the Y. You can donate, become a member, join one of their boards, volunteer with the Peaks to Portland, which is a swim for kids. We need your help to bring back our signature fundraiser for kids. Some members of the YMCA of Southern Maine have joined us this morning. If you can please stand and be recognized. Thank you. Thank you for all the work you do in Portland. Appreciate you. I'd like to also welcome the students who are joining us here today through our Tomorrow's Leaders and Entrepreneurs program, which allows them to attend at no cost. Today we have students from Falmouth High School, North Yarmouth Academy, Casco Bay High School, University of Southern Maine, and University of Maine. Please stand and be recognized. As a reminder, if you've been here before, you know the drill about parking. You have the app and you know what to do. If you're new, please see the signs in the lobby or the queue. You'll see the queue, and you have to enter Eggs Park to get the free parking. Look carefully for the promo. They make it really, really small, but you can find it. If you need any help, let me know. I'll help you. Okay, before we get to the program, just one more final round of applause for each of our generous sponsors, please. Now on to today's presentation. I would like to welcome to the stage UMaine President Dr. Joan Ferrini Mundy. She was also recognized last night by Maine Biz as one of the Business Leaders of the Year. Welcome, Joan.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you so very much for having me here at Eggs and Issues. I'm very grateful to Quincy Hensel, Tommy Johnson, Rachel Carruthers, and thank you, Mary, for the introduction. And overall, thank you to the Portland Community Chamber of Commerce. It's a pleasure to be here in Portland and in this beautiful space at the University of Southern Maine. I'd like to just recognize a couple of colleagues, in particular my friend and colleague Jackie Edmondson, the president of the University of Southern Maine, our public regional comprehensive university. Jackie is here with us. Thank you, Jackie. And you also probably all know President and Dean and General Queen of Things, Lee Softly, who is here with us, the President and Dean of the University of Maine School of Law. So Lee. And so many other friends and folks in the audience. I'm going to talk today about the University of Maine in a general way, and it's great to be able to do that with you all. I hope you'll all learn some things today about UMaine that you didn't know and get a sense of the scope and scale of our public research university and what it offers the state of Maine and the greater Portland region. We're going to begin with a short video, though, so I'm told that that's the cue, okay?
What lies tomorrow?
Is it just another day?
A future beyond our reach?
Or is it something more?
A call that beckons us.
In the northern latitudes sits the University of Maine.
A place where tomorrow is more than a point in time.
Where tomorrow's an idea.
A whisper in the minds of adventurers.
Charting their course as they journey life's wondrous seas.
A whisper to imagine.
To forge new paths.
And build a brighter future. To discover what tomorrow holds.
At UMaine, you'll connect with your mentors
on a deeper level.
Exploring our world through innovative research facilities.
And profound personal experiences that redefine education.
And you'll do this alongside a community of lifelong friends
who share in these unforgettable memories.
So if tomorrow's what you make it,
and the only limit is your imagination,
what will you do tomorrow?
Yesterday is who you were.
Today is who you are.
Tomorrow, that's for you to discover.
Discover your tomorrow with us
At the University of Maine.
So thank you, and I should recognize our our Chief Marketing and Communications Officer, Meredith Whitfield, who's responsible with her team for that great work. So as I say, the hope for today is that every one of you learns something that you didn't know about the University of Maine. And I also hope that you'll come away from this talk understanding that, like you and the organizations that you all represent, you will see that UMaine is deeply, deeply committed to making a difference in the state of Maine. But I first have to get a sense of the audience. How many are black bears? Parents of black bears, spouses, partners of black bears, part of a black bear pair. If you are, you'll know what that is. Children of black bears. Okay, can I see again? All right, great audience of black bears. Thank you for being here. There are over 100,000 University of Maine alums right now, with more than 57,000 living in Maine, and more than 20% of them in Cumberland County. You know, most talks that I give are to UMaine audiences, students, faculty, staffs, and alums, so I have been trying to think in this talk about how to broaden what we talk about here. So let's just step back and think. When UMaine comes to mind, what do you think of? People think of many things, and we'll start to talk about those next. A lot of people think about athletics. The America East Champions women's basketball team this year, for example, might be what you think about, who also made an appearance at the NCAA finals, one of many for them. And you probably, okay, yeah, they're great. You probably think about hockey too, maybe the glory days and national championships of 1993 and 1999, and then a tremendous resurgence this year. They again went to the NCAA for the first time this season. So athletics, that's a big part of what we do. We are the only D1 program in the state of Maine, and so I invite everybody here to feel that they can be a black bear for sports at least. You might think about UMO. And it's true that our flagship campus of this university system is based in Orono, and that was a decision made by the first board of trustees in 1866. Jim Irwin, I saw you before. Did you know that the chair of that board was Hannibal Hamlin? Jim Irwin, former chair of our board of trustees. You might not know, and I didn't until I was preparing this talk, that although Orono was the choice for the location of the land grant, Topsom came in as a close second and lost by only one vote. So we could be there, but we're not. We're in Orono, and land grants typically are where there's quite a lot of land. You know that we're the state's land grant, founded in 1865 as part of Abraham Lincoln's Morrill Act of 1862. We were originally called the Maine State College of Agriculture and Mechanic Arts, and that title signaled what the intention was for land grant universities, which that they would be focused on practical subjects, agriculture, science, military science, and industry. And the idea was to develop a system of public universities across the country that would be accessible to all members of all social classes. We are today still a statewide resource, and on the basis of that original charter, our commitment to affordability and accessibility remains the highest priority for us. We don't any longer have cows wandering in front of Carnegie Hall on our campus, but that's not that long ago that they were there. The University of Maine is one of the 7 universities which, along with Maine Law School, comprise the University of Maine system, which was established in 1969. We went from being UMO to officially being the University of Maine by state statute. Anybody know the year? 1986. So we haven't been UMO for quite a long time, but we know that people know us that way. The University of Maine at Machias has been a regional campus of the University of Maine since 2017, so we are the largest and smallest universities of the University of Maine system together. If you combine our student population, which is about 11,300 students, with our faculty and staff, if we were a city or town in Maine and you ranked us in the size of those cities and towns, we'd fall between York and Waterville. We have a privately owned hotel, a maple sugar house, 325 buildings across the state, including a fish hatchery in Franklin, and several buildings that are on the National Historic Register. We also have partners across the state. We run 4 research farms and a forest through the federally supported Maine Agricultural and Forest Experiment Station, MAFIS. You know about cooperative extension, I'm sure. That is a UMaine-based program. It actually originated in the beginnings of the land grant era in the movement across the country. The idea of extension was to help educate farmers by engaging with youth and helping younger people come to understand the science that would improve agriculture across the country. And we continue that tradition today. We have 16 offices and staff, one in every county, helping farmers and many, many others across the state of Maine. We run Maine's 4 4-H camps and learning centers. They're at Bryant Pond, Greenland Point, Tennant's Harbor, which is the Blueberry Cove Camp, and Camden Hills State Park, which is Tanglewood. Cooperative extension serves roughly 11,290 youth each year. So we have great reach across our state and great involvement from this area of the state as well. Almost 2/3 of our students come from Maine. We have students from all 50 states and 90 countries at the University of Maine. More than 80% of our in-state grads and about 1/3 of our out-of-state grads are currently working in Maine. So we are able to be a part of continuing to build and grow the workforce here in the state, particularly by bringing out-of-state students to the university and then encouraging them to stay. Almost 2/3 of our students have completed an internship by the time they graduate, many of them with the companies and organizations that you represent here in the room. Those internships are across the state. And we are a major supplier of engineers, nurses, and K-12 educators for the state's workforce. You've heard about our alums, and it was really hard to do this slide because there are just so many extraordinary alums that I would like to speak about, and at least one of them is here, so that's good. Certainly Stephen King and Tabitha King top the list for the visibility and their brilliant contributions and what they've done really to bring attention to the state of Maine across the world, and so they are alums. You might not know as much about Bernard Lown, who was the class of 1942. So Dr. Lown was a Lithuanian immigrant to Lewiston, a world-class cardiologist, an author, and a peace activist. He invented the direct current heart defibrillator, and on top of that, received the Nobel Peace Prize in 1985 for co-founding the International Physicians for the Prevention of Nuclear War. So we're very, very proud of Dr. Lown. A coin in his honor, a commemorative coin, will be released in May, actually, across the state and across the country. So we're very excited about that, too. You know Owen McCarthy, he's here, class of 2010, along with his partner Brian Harris, running MedRhythms, a company based here in Portland, and leveraging the power of music, in their words, and technology to redefine what's possible in brain health. One of the points I want to make about our alums, and this sample is just, of course, a tiny sample, is that they leave our university, they leave all of the universities in our system, really prepared to kind of take on the world across a very wide range of areas, and we're very happy that this foundational education that we are able to provide makes that possible. A couple of others to mention, some of these faces and names may be familiar. Houston Astros shortstop Jeremy Pena was the MVP of the 2022 World Series. He played baseball at Maine. Senator Olympia Snowe, class of '69, of course. Beryl Elizabeth Warner Williams, one of the first black women to graduate in mathematics at UMaine in 1935, and a building on the campus is named in her honor. We have alums on Broadway, like Merritt David Janes, who is currently in, or is it still playing? Yeah. In Back to the Future, the musical, right now. We have alums leading higher education in top universities, like our double alum, Dr. Shantae Delalue, who is a Dartmouth College Senior Vice President. And although not an alum and not pictured here, you may have heard that Rudy Valley wrote our Stein song, which is the only college song to become a #1 hit. So we have a lot of important and interesting things to brag about in the university, and our alums, the people who were our students, are, of course, our pride and joy. We also have an extraordinary faculty. And since the very beginning, UMaine has had amazing faculty whose work has been changing the world. Their accomplishments, which almost uniformly involve students at the university, bring visibility and acclaim to our state, and I'll only mention a few in the limited time we have. How many know Habib Dagher or know of him? We were out to dinner last night with him, and he was like a celebrity, people coming to talk to him. You know, very, very prominent member of our faculty, an engineer. He's known for so many things, but especially his groundbreaking work in floating offshore wind technologies. His lab employs about 200 students per year from across the fields of the university. I've watched him recruit students to come and work in his lab. And first of all, the engineers all think that they're the only ones who can go work there. And then he says, I'm interested in the business majors. I'm interested in the sociology majors, the psychology majors, because that's a lab that is creating technologies for the future, and they understand the importance of people from all kinds of areas being involved. UMaine engineering faculty Per Garder and John Alexander did the first academic research in the US on highway shoulder rumble strips, and they did that work in 1992, a study in the state of Maine to look at the safety impact on our rural highways of those rumble strips, and they were able to document their effectiveness. And then there's the famous caribou russet potato variety, licensed jointly by UMaine and the Maine Potato Board in 2015, developed by UMaine faculty member Dr. Greg Porter. I can assure you it is in French fries around the world, and I have evidence, because we've done it, that you can grow them in your own backyard in Maine. The scholarship of UMaine faculty extends broadly across the arts, the humanities, and the sciences. You hear a lot about our engineering and our STEM-specific work. I would like to highlight Morgan Talty, a member of our English department who is a prize-winning author and a citizen of the Penobscot Indian Nation where he grew up. In 1938, a very famous book was called The Food Plant Catalog of the Aphids of the World. And it was written by Dr. Edith Patch, an acclaimed entomologist, one of the early women pioneers in entomology, actually. There was an anecdote I read about her where she needed to sort of force her way into academic meetings of entomologists at the time, because only men were allowed during the part of the meeting where there was smoking and drinking going on. And often she felt that important conversation was happening then, so she just would go. And there was one anecdote where people just stopped smoking altogether because she was in the room, and it was a good conversation, I'm sure. She was at the university for quite a long time and is a very important figure in our past. So remember that the emphasis in the Moral Act is on the teaching of practical subjects. And you can see from these examples that I've chosen how over almost 160 years, UMaine has remained true to that charge through the research problems and the instructional emphases that our faculty are pursuing. Just a little bit more about our faculty. UMaine's Climate Change Institute, which is now more than 50 years old, originally called the Institute for Quaternary Studies, has a research portfolio that spans geological history of large ice sheets and smaller mountain glaciers, all the way to today's environmental governance and policy. Maybe last summer during the heat wave you saw the climate reanalyzer stories in the New York Times and elsewhere, USA Today, because that tool was something that was developed at UMaine and turned out to be really useful during that period. Archaeologist Bonnie Newsom and her team have a major National Science Foundation grant to draw on indigenous knowledge to gain insights into climate change. And of course, being situated right here in Portland on the Gulf of Maine, we all know how important it really is to understand the impacts of our changing climate, and at UMaine we have a center that's been looking at that for a long time. There are so many areas I couldn't cover in this sampler of faculty work, but this being Eclipse Week and all, and it's been a little crazy with Eclipse Week. Has anybody noticed that? Quincy and I were talking. It's just there's something weird. But anyway, we want to tell you that at UMaine we have extensive work with NASA. We are a land, sea, and space grant university. And I'd like to congratulate the director of our Versant Astronomy Center, Sean Lash, who must be exhausted. He's been all over the press supporting public understanding of the eclipse this week and overseeing the balloon launch that you've read about in northern Maine. So back to what have you heard about UMaine? Some of this you've heard, maybe some of it you haven't. You've probably heard that we are an R1 university, which by definition is a doctoral university with very high research activity, and that makes us one of only 146 in the country right now. We pride ourselves on our work in the heritage industries of farming, forestry, and fisheries in Maine, but we often are merging today cutting-edge efforts in those areas with AI, with biomedical research and applications, with data science, with high-performance computing, and almost always now with interdisciplinary teams crossing fields. We stand out among R1s because our students, our undergraduate students at the University of Maine, get to be a part of this research. Our total R&D funding in fiscal year 23 was almost $190 million, including dollars from the state and federal government. And we're very grateful for all of those infusions of funding into our work. Congressionally directed spending made possible by Senator Collins, Senators King, and Representatives Pingree and Golden, as well as, of course, the administration and legislation and the state legislators. We're very, very heavily supported with public funds, and we're very grateful for that. But these grants bring jobs. Those jobs come in the form of undergraduate and graduate research assistants, faculty who are paid on grants, postdoctoral associates, and technicians, and they're coming to the state of Maine, and many of them stay here after those projects are concluded. Those grants also bring labs, instruments, and facilities that have the capacity to serve Maine companies, and we'll talk a bit more about that in a moment. But that's the quick whirlwind overview of what you might know and some things we'd like you to know about the University of Maine. For the rest of my time, I'll focus on something that's very important to our university, and that's the work we do with external partners, work that is core to a land-grant university and that distinguishes us from other kinds of universities. So, you know this place, right here in Portland. This is the home of the Maine Graduate and Professional Center, or as we call it, the Maine Center. And I'll talk first about the partnerships that we have right there in the Maine Center at 300 4th Street, and now also expanding into the adjoining 7 Custom House Street. The center serves as a physical space that houses Maine law and then enables co-located collaborations and innovations from faculty, staff, and students across the University of Maine, the University of Southern Maine, as well as others in the system. The director of the Maine Center is here today, Seth Goodall. I saw him in the audience. And exciting work is happening there. One of the anchor programs in the center is the Maine MBA, now available online. It's a joint venture by the University of Maine and the University of Southern Maine, now ranked as a top global online MBA by CEO Magazine, US News, and Fortune. We have more than 400 active students enrolled in that program as of today. It's largely online, taught by faculty from both of our institutions. And what I love about that degree is that it offers several specializations, many of them customized to meet the needs of business and industry as we've heard them in talking with you all and others, including everything ranging from the blue economy to outdoor industry management. At the center, you can find UMaine Foundation staff, some of our folks are here, as well as leaders from UMaine's research development and corporate partnership teams who are regularly spending time in Portland using the lovely hoteling space that we have in the center. UMaine's Portland Gateway is here as well, making all kinds of connections to the community. This place of partnership and integration across our universities and the law school is really important to the future of the University of Maine system, and we're very pleased to be able to be here, doing innovative things and being a place where you can come and bring your ideas as well. The Maine Center is now in its second wave of support from the Harold Alfond Foundation, and as you know, our system was awarded an extraordinary grant by that foundation, $320 million, to transform UMaine D1 athletics, as well as student success and retention, UMS-wide. It founded the Maine College of Engineering and Computing, which is a partnership anchored by UMaine and the University of Southern Maine and extending across the system. And our goal is to double the number of engineering graduates in 10 years to keep supplying the Maine workforce and your companies with the kinds of well-prepared professionals in engineering and computing that we need for the future. In addition, of course, the Maine Center has funding in that grant as well. We have, as a university, about, I wanted to be sure to get the number right, we have about 450 active partnerships with businesses and organizations across the state of Maine, many of them in the Portland area. I'm going to talk now about a few other kinds of partnerships. The center is a partnership that's really structured around a place that gives us the opportunity for connecting and interdisciplinary work. Innovate for Maine Fellows is a partnership that really is between Maine students and Maine businesses, and it's aimed at the workforce for our state. It's an internship program created by UMaine in 2012. And the goal is to accelerate the next generation of innovators and entrepreneurs, and basically, in their own words, to connect the most passionate and curious Maine college students, by the way, from across Maine, not only from the University of Maine, with Maine's most exciting growing companies. Here's how it works. Students and companies each apply, and then matches are made, and that part seems to be complicated. But in any case, part of it is a 4-day boot camp that runs in late May, and then placements are made with the interns, and those begin in June. We partner with Maine Career Catalyst for networking, and we engage everybody in innovation training, including running, quote, fail fast, fail cheap experiments to determine innovation feasibility. So it's internships focused on innovation, and it's an award-winning program, helping to grow Maine companies and invest in our state's future workforce. And it's one that we do in partnership with you and so many more. About half of the company partners are based in the Portland area. We've had great success. This year we have more than 150 student applications and 80+ company applications, and glowing testimonials from both the CEOs and students from across the system. I'd like to single out Aidan Quimby, who is a marketing major studying at the University of Southern Maine. He was selected for the summer of 2023, and he worked with mainly SEO, which is a Portland-based company. And he worked on event planning, website management, social media, and other areas, and he continued interning with them and then was hired as a full-time media specialist on his graduation in December. So we're excited about internship programs that enable our students to join the workforce as they complete those internships. The next kind of partnership I'd like to talk about is one between the University of Maine and private and public laboratories and universities focused very much on research and the workforce. It's the Graduate School of Biomedical Science and Engineering, which is a University of Maine entity launched in 2006, started with 12 doctoral students and 6 partner sites across Maine. And some of you may remember the beginnings of this. It was created with support from Governor John Baldacci, and the idea was to create jobs, improve public health, create R&D capacity, and develop the healthcare workforce. Basically, the idea of this program is to enable students to obtain a UMaine PhD by working in a partner site where the research is conducted. It is now Maine's largest biomedical PhD program. It has 127 students this year, including 67 who are in a professional science master's in bioinformatics. It's a vast affiliated faculty network, so faculty at the partner sites are able to be affiliated with the University of Maine, and then they advise these doctoral students. There are a dozen departments at UMaine that are involved in these 4 primary partner institutions. The research focus areas include molecular and cellular biology, bioinformatics and genomics, toxicology, neuroscience, and biomedical engineering. And the grads are doing very, very well. And I see President Herbert here. Yes. UNE is one of our partners, of course. Very excited about this program and its potential to serve workforce needs in the state of Maine. Next partnership that I'll mention is with UMaine. It's a corporate partnership that's very much focused both on the education of students, on R&D, and then ultimately on the productivity of this company. Jasper Wyman and Son became a household name in Maine and beyond beginning in 1874, and now Wyman's is a world-leading company and a key partner with the University of Maine. Since 2019, they've been working with UMaine's Food Science Innovation Coordinator and Food and Agriculture Facility Manager, Rob Dumas, to ideate and test the new product ideas, including smoothie sandwiches and fruit waffles, ideas that are central to Wyman's expansion plans. More recently, in 2022, Wyman's Wild Blueberry Research and Innovation Center was established at UMaine. It's a laboratory that's located in a field in one of the farms that I mentioned earlier, the Witter Farm off of College Road in Old Town, Maine. And so we now have a blueberry research facility, wild blueberry research, right near our campus, and that allows interdisciplinary teams to conduct intensive long-term studies on Maine wild blueberries. And so they're looking at a site where they can test and control for various kinds of irrigation approaches and study various pests and learn about soil conditions and everything right there on the campus. And the students are loving being involved in this particular project. It will ensure future leaders in a field that's so critical to the state of Maine. One more partnership example, and that's Tyler Technologies. University of Maine Foster Center for Innovation has collaborated with Tyler Tech, which is based in Texas and has 4 offices in Maine: Augusta, Bangor, Falmouth, and Yarmouth. We've been collaborating with them for 4.5 years. We have more than 100 alumni that work at Tyler Tech. In 2015, Tyler created the Maine App Challenge to engage middle and high school students in computing. And in 2021, UMaine partnered with them, and participation has now nearly doubled because we've been engaging those students in workshops and innovation education to help them be ready to do these apps. UMaine's innovation workshops have been also a part of now the judging in the Maine App Challenge, and students can earn badges in UMaine's system micro-credentials by participating. I got to meet the 2023 Maine App Challenge winner, Matthew Fagerland of Scarborough High School, and he created an app called GI Grapher, which is an app to help middle and high school students learn how to graph mathematical equations. And I took a look. It's quite great. I was a high school math teacher once in a very different life. I wish I'd had it. It would have helped a whole lot. And this young man was just so excited about the technology and the computing that he needed to do that app. In 2023, Tyler Tech did a fascinating thing. They started a program to arrange for buses to pick up high school students all around Maine, particularly in southern Maine, to bring them to UMaine for specialized tours, to give them a chance to see our technologies and our labs. And through this partnership, we've brought more than 250 high school students to Orono to experience the STEM opportunities that UMaine offers. And those students are now taking a look at our university as well as others in a new way, having had that kind of a tour. And in February, Tyler and UMaine announced an extended partnership to explore STEM careers for young people. And there has been wonderful, generous donation coming from Tyler to help us do that with scholarship support. Last April, Tyler broke ground on a new facility in Orono, right outside of the campus, set to be complete in mid-2024. That's going to help our students engage in that facility before, during, and after college with that close proximity. So I offer you these partnerships because I wanted you to see the kinds of examples that we are open to engaging with in terms of your own companies, your own organizations. Our colleagues across the system have similar partnerships, often in their locations, that are suited to the kinds of strengths that their universities have. And so we want you to be very clear that the UMaine system and the University of Maine in this case are here, are ready to talk with you, are ready to try to help your company move in directions that you might like to explore where R&D could be a help, and are ready to help build a workforce that will be suited to your organization. In closing, I hope I've been able to share how excited I am about the University of Maine and how honored I am to be the president there. Faculty, staff, students, and colleagues and the people of Maine have just been incredibly supportive and wonderful. Do be in touch with us if you have ideas about how we can connect and how we can continue to advance our state and build our economy here and create the kind of living, learning opportunities that we want for all of our students and our young people in Maine. So thank you very much, and I am told we now go to Q&A. Thank you. Q&A or comments, you can know. If you had a great experience at UMaine, you can tell us about it.
A question. My name is Felicia Knight with the Knight Canny Group, and UMaine being a public research university, there has been a real rollback, I should say, of investment in research, all public research universities. And I know you mentioned you got a pretty good figure from the federal government this year. Mm-hmm. But overall, how do you propose to go forward and encourage, especially the federal government, to put the kind of money that it used to put into public research universities? Mm-hmm.
That's a wonderful question. Thank you for that. Some of you may know that I worked for the federal government. I worked for the National Science Foundation for several years, and at the end of my time there was the chief operating officer, and so had a look at what it meant to try to increase federal support for research from the other side, from that side. And the way it goes is that the agencies, I think in general, are filled with people who have a good vision for what the future of research could be and for what kind of funding is needed to engage the best scholars across the country in that research. A very big step forward was the CHIPS and Science Act of a couple of years ago, an authorization though, and so that act hasn't been fully funded yet. What it really takes from where I sit now is for the researchers themselves to put forward the very, very best possible ideas and to be very public about that with their legislators, with their delegations, to help them understand how much creativity there is, how much potential innovation there is in the research community, and how important the funding for that actually is in moving our nation forward. It's a kind of a connect the dots argument that is needing to be made more broadly. That has to do with if we are able to engage in the research and find solutions to hard problems or deepen understandings of challenging ideas, that ultimately then that will lead to productivity and health and improvements in our nation broadly. So it's about being more public, I think, with what we do well. At least that's the part that universities can play. And absolutely constantly arguing for increased funding for federal research.
President Ferrini Mundy. I'm Tori Ryden.
Hi, Tori.
And I work with you at
Yes.
University of Maine System and UMS Transforms. And I guess, building on some of the issues of the day, and we're looking at lack of affordable housing and lack of housing itself, I would love for you to take a moment to give us an update on 3D housing, the 3D
Yes.
houses that have been built, and kind of take a peek at the future of that.
Sure.
What are we looking at, and is that a possible solution in helping to ease the housing crunch that we're facing here in Maine? Thank you.
Thank you, Tori. And there was a picture in the slides of the 3D printed house that some of you have heard about and have seen, created again in the Advanced Structures and Composites Center, Habib Dagger's lab, and publicized a year or so ago now as the first fully 3D printed house based in wood-based and bio-based products. And so it's a great accomplishment for us at the University of Maine. It required having the world's largest 3D printer available in order to do that production. And that technology, of course, continues to change and evolve very rapidly. It's an AI-based technology now, which means that efficiencies and improvements in the product are happening in real time using AI as a basis. So the technology itself for doing these large-scale print jobs is constantly growing, and it's expensive. That said, though, this house was produced and is standing on the campus, and it's been through a couple of Maine winters now, and there are sensors all over it, so we're understanding further its ability to withstand cold and ice and rain. And there's just a little aside about the house. So it has glass windows. Some of you perhaps seen the house. Tours are available for the house if you'd like to come up. There are glass windows, and it's on a pathway that students use coming from their dorms. And so I'm told that they have to wash those windows, the outsides, all the time, because students come and put their hands against it to look inside the 3D printed house to see what it looks like. And of course, it's all beautifully staged to look like an actual house. I think that the potential for 3D printed houses for these low-cost materials is huge for our state. And I think there's a future for that in creating affordable housing that can be produced rapidly as we figure out how to scale these technologies. Because right now it's one large 3D printer in a big lab with very expensive technicians and others running the equipment. And so we're very excited about potential partnerships to move forward to make that more marketable in lots of ways as quickly as we possibly can. We will break ground this summer on a new facility, the Green Engineering and Environmental Materials of the Future Lab on the campus, and that's a big part of this scaling problem, is to decide how we can print these more quickly, more cheaply, and get them out into the market soon. So we're very excited at UMaine about that process.
Joan, actually, I have a question. At the Chamber, we focus a lot on workforce development.
Yes.
And curious, because you have such a diverse program,
Right.
where do you see gaps? Do you see companies looking for students that we don't have? Do you see students looking for companies that they have to go out of state for? Can you
Right.
acknowledge any of those gaps?
Thank you, great question. We continue to hear daily, pretty much, from companies that need for folks trained in data science and analytics and AI is just huge. And it's pretty much across sectors where those kinds of professionals are needed. So we do hear that. We also hear more traditionally the need for healthcare professionals across the state. We can't meet that demand. And the need for K through 12 educators who've come through our programs, we also can't meet those demands. But very strong on the engineering and computing side is a large piece of what we hear.
Hi there. My name is Mark Violet, owner of Maine Mortgage Solutions, and also a black bear, proudly,
right, good.
As well as my older son and younger son. One of the questions, and I'm actually very impressed by the entire presentation, what has evolved of the campus over the years. One of the things I am very interested in is the affordability of students to be able to come to the University of Maine. I know that the costs have skyrocketed quite a bit over the years, and you hadn't touched on that, so I wanted to raise that question to kind of bring that subject to the surface.
Sure. So for our entire system, I think it's safe to say that focusing on affordability is a highest priority. We're the public education system for the state of Maine. We want to be sure that Maine students have the opportunity to join us and to be a part of our universities. And so we've had long stretches of keeping tuition flat or trying to have only minimal increases. And it's true, costs increase substantially, and we need to address that. We also need to be mindful of how important the student financial aid that we provide through the university, that the federal government provides, and that actually is also enabled by our very generous donors who provide scholarships and support. So we look to meet the needs of the students who want to come to us through a variety of means, but being accessible and affordable, at least for the land grant, and I'll speak for my colleagues too, is vital to us. We want Maine students to be able to take advantage of these public institutions at an affordable cost and with minimal debt as they leave.
Good morning, Joan.
Hey, Chris.
I'm Chris Mallett from Northeastern Drew Institute. Your research teams have been such a leader in the development of the bioeconomy, and we've got this opportunity with the EDA Tech Hub percolating this summer. I just wonder if you might want to share with the audience what you're all working on there.
So the EDA Tech Hub is going to allow us to partner with a variety of institutions across the state to continue to focus on essentially bio-based manufacturing, to be able to take assets and resources that we have in our state together with looking carefully at what the future of manufacturing is like. And if you've been or if you are a part of the manufacturing industry, you know that a factory today looks very, very different than it did decades ago. And so the notion of both our bio-based economy and forest industries being brought to modern times, and at the same time knowing what we will need in the high-tech fields of AI and computing and digital manufacturing, essentially. That's where we're focusing, I think. Chris probably knows even more in detail about what we're doing in that tech hub. But it's bringing together companies and institutions across the state of Maine to help Maine be a leader in that area and make sure that our workforce is not only ready for today, but can lead in tomorrow's world. And we're very pleased to be partnering with the RU and others in that work.
I'll ask a question.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello.
President Ferrini, Mundy. That was great. Quincy Hensel, Portland Regional Chamber of Commerce. Obviously, we have great partnerships with all of the higher ed universities here, and a lot of the dean from the law school, president of USM, president of UNE is here. What could the Chamber of Commerce do to help the universities with the programs and all the efforts that you have? There's a lot of interest in making sure these institutions are successful and we're graduating the students that we need for the workforce of the future. So what could we do to be helpful?
What a great question, thank you. And I'm sure my colleagues would have ideas about that as well. I think events like this, where we get the chance to meet your members and to talk with you all and to help you understand not only what we're trying to do, but hear from you and your members about what would be useful. That might be the most important thing you could actually do, in my view, is to organize opportunities for the leaders of these higher education institutions to get feedback from you all. What are your needs? What are your employment needs? What happens as the employees come to you? What sorts of training and additional education do you need to provide that maybe we could help to provide? And then what sorts of programming would you really like to be doing in partnership? Because we have some of that, but I think there can be more. Special credentials, certificates, trainings in very specific areas that are important to your industries and to your businesses and to your companies. So continuing these open lines of communication in very targeted ways, I think, again, my colleagues probably could add to that, but I'll say for at least the UMaine system people, we're probably pretty open to that and would love to be in that conversation.
Hi, good morning. Sarah Lawrence. I work for Congresswoman Shelley Pingree here in her Portland office. Thank you for this time together. I heard you mention the healthcare worker shortage, a crisis, proportions statewide and nationwide.
Yes.
I wonder if you could expand a bit on the programs and initiatives that the system has going right now or has planned to address that.
Certainly.
Thanks.
And a large focus for our system is in nursing and the supply of nurses. And one of the problems in that industry, as I've come to understand it, is that we can't necessarily grow our programs at our universities that do nursing to be as large as we'd like them to be because there are shortages of faculty to teach the nurses. And so we are constantly looking for ways to essentially now grow our own accomplished faculty from within our nursing programs so that they can then be members of the faculty, and then perhaps we can take larger groups into our programs. We also look at digital and online ways of educating nurses and other healthcare professionals. And we have, at the University of Maine at least, just very recently received a new congressionally directed spending grant that's going to enable us to start a PhD in nursing, which at the University of Maine will be a good fit in terms of our research focus, but also it will enable us to educate faculty members who can then become a part of our university. I know that President Edmondson would have a lot to say about ideas at the Lewis and Auburn campus and the focus on health that is being developed there as well. And so we're doing quite a lot, and it tends to be system-wide because those needs are statewide.
Hi, Tim Summers with Landry French Construction, proud black bear. And,
all right.
I appreciate you talking about the 4-H camps. My daughters benefited greatly from those 4-H camps. That's a very underrated thing in the state. Question about on-campus versus online students and where you see the university going with that, and what the university is doing to either increase housing, decrease housing, or dealing with infrastructure for that.
So that's a timely question. It seems like we talk about that among our leadership pretty much every day. And the pandemic did bring us into a whole new era in many ways about how it's possible to have effective learning and effective teaching going on online. And I think our system does a great job with it across the entire organization. We have terrific examples. The University of Maine at Presque Isle with its Your Pace program, a competency-based education online kind of program, is attracting international attention because it's so strong. And for a campus like the University of Maine, which has a history of being a residential university focused on 18 to 22-year-olds, I think we too are moving toward a future that will broaden out that focus, where people who might like to engage with us online, as I mentioned, the MBA fully online now, will have their chance. They'll be black bears, and they may be black bears who really never set foot on campus. And I think that's going to be a part of our future in order to enlarge the groups of people who can access our universities and find the programs that they want and need. We are looking right now at programs, for example, that could go fully online as well as be available in person as needed. It does have implications over time for what the residential part of a university looks like, and given our history, of course, that's a central part of the University of Maine, and I think will be for the near term anyway. We're constantly looking at our residence hall spaces, looking to upgrade them and improve them, because the full college experience on a campus for the 18 to 22-year-old student is very much still something that folks want and are looking for. So it will be a hybrid kind of world going forward for us at UMaine. Other parts of the system may go much more fully into online as well. So remains to be seen, but we're working on it.
Ryan Stokes, right, Ryan. Joan, I was curious if you had an opportunity to visit the new Hotel Ursa that's on the center campus.
I'm sorry, I missed the beginning part of the question.
If you had an opportunity to visit the new hotel.
Absolutely. I stayed there. We stayed there. This is my husband, Rick. We did stay there early on, before it's not quite fully open yet. Of course, we're thrilled with that facility being on campus, and with our partners who've been a part of it from this part of the state as well. It's beautiful. We did have to go home and let the dog out, but went back. And what's beautiful about it is, for all of the groups that have worked on it, the preservation of those two historic buildings has been extraordinary, because they are National Historic Register buildings. So as some of you may know, there was an enormous amount of work to prepare for how we would do that renovation and preserve what needed to be preserved in those buildings. So that's just happened beautifully, and I invite you all to come find Hotel Ursa, run by the Olympia Group here in Portland. So thank you. Okay.
That was excellent. Thank you so much. A sincere thank you to Dr. Joan Ferrini Mundy for joining us this morning. Today's event has been recorded and will be available for replay on the Chamber's YouTube channel, which is accessible through our website. To stay apprised of future updates, we encourage everyone to sign up for the Chamber's advocacy and events newsletters by visiting our website, portlandregion.com. You can view a complete list of all the Chamber's upcoming events on the Chamber's website. I will again remind you, April 24th, it's an inaugural event. It's going to be fantastic. Tell everybody, and we hope to see you there. We also hope you'll join us May 9th, which is the next Eggs and Issues. We're going to welcome to the stage Dr. Deborah Bronk, who's the president and CEO of Bigelow Labs. Thank you all again for joining us today, and have a great day.